Hey, you're listening to BNS About Movies. This is Sam. I have a special guest this week, AC Nicholas, who is part of our new segment, Defend a Movie. So, AC, how you doing today?
I am doing great, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. If folks don't know you, a little bit about your film bona fides, if you will.
Okay. How much time do we have? Anyway, I have been interested in film all my life, and as a result, I write for the Drive-In Asylum fanzine that your partner Bill Van Ryn puts out, and I also write for BNS About Movies, Sam, your website. Also featured as a guest co-host on the Drive-In Asylum streaming show on Facebook and YouTube on select Saturday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern. I'm also a writer for other websites like Horror and Sons. I've been on the Making Tarantino, the podcast with Phil Duke, and recently a new panelist on the Deep Images podcast with Henry Covert out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And one of the more exciting things that I have of late is I'm a film programmer at the Babylon Kino in Columbia, South Carolina, where once a month I select a film and host AC Nicholas's Hidden Gems. We try to pick obscure films, some that have not been released to DVD, streaming, or Blu-ray. That's been a lot of fun. And as part of my background, I've done a lot of stuff. I was once a drive-in projectionist. I was a disc jockey, voiceover actor. I do training, film acting, and stand-up comedian. So mixed bag for me.
Wow. What are some of the movies you've shown so far at the Babylon Kino?
Oh, that's great. The movies that I've featured at the Babylon Kino, and we're very proud of this, would be we had two incredibly successful showings of Effects, the Pittsburgh filmed movie from 1979, done by the friends and colleagues of George Romero. To use the trendy term, I call it a Romero-adjacent movie, and that would be Dusty Nelson, John Harrison, the late, great Pat Buba. Tom Savini was in it, Joe Pilato, he's passed on too. And that was incredibly well received. And then a month ago, we did another Pittsburgh movie that is nowhere to be found anymore outside of blurry VHS copies, if you can find them online, and a badly edited copy on the Internet Archive called Lady Beware with Diane Lane that was shot in Pittsburgh. Coming up next month, November, I think we're going to go with an Australian film, Next of Kin, which the owner of the theater saw, and I recommended it to him, and he could not believe how great it was. He said, "Oh my God, this movie's fantastic." I said, "Yeah, I know." And then for December, our holiday movie will be that heartwarming family classic, Dial Code Santa Claus, the French film with the Santa Claus maniac and the little boy. And I asked the question, did John Hughes rip off the plot for Home Alone? My answer, yeah, probably.
That's exciting. I thought you would maybe just be showing Pittsburgh films. I was like, what's next? Flesh Eater? And,
No, actually, I missed. I hosted a screening of Night of the Living Dead, and I did a little lecture on the history of Pittsburgh horror films.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't want to make it. I could have done an hour on George Romero,
Yeah.
but I picked 10 of them, and I only picked the 3 Romero: Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I tried to go outside the box.
What were the other ones? I'm excited about what are the other ones?
Okay, one of them that got probably the most response, people came up to me and said, "Boy, I want to see that," was, you're not going to like this, Sam, Blood-Sucking Pharaohs in Pittsburgh.
It's not good.
I could have defended that one. Another one, of course, was Midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, what else did I have? I had to pick some sort of things that people would never realize were made in Pittsburgh. So it was the Mothman Prophecies.
Yeah.
Innocent Blood, which I love.
Dario Argento's in it.
No, yeah, Dario Argento is patting the head of a dying Don Rickles. Argento's playing a paramedic. And, of course, had to end on a high note, Silence of the Lambs, which a lot of people don't realize was filmed in Pittsburgh. It's always fun because there were a lot of horror movies made in Pittsburgh, a lot of movies in general made in Pittsburgh, and maybe you and I could talk about the movies were made at that studio in Sharon, Pennsylvania, like Tiger Warsaw with Patrick Swayze.
I totally forget sometimes that it was made there. There's also, man, we should do a whole episode about this. There's I'll go through some of my weird Pittsburgh movies that I like. There's Always Vanilla. I really like that a lot.
Love it.
And Hungry Wives, whatever, Season of the Witch, whatever you want to call it.
Jack's wife.
The Crazies, love it. One of my favorites. Martin, I think probably the best movie made in Pittsburgh. Night Riders, of course. The Majorettes. How can you go wrong with the Majorettes? RoboCop, shot right across the river in Charleroi here, the end of it. Flesh Eater, Two Evil Eyes, the remake of Night of the Living Dead.
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, yeah. Iron Maze, which is not good. Neither is Whispers in the Dark. The horrible anniversary edition of Night of the Living Dead. Dark Half. Striking Distance. Is Striking Distance a genre?
Yes, absolutely.
House Guest with Sinbad. Complete horror. Sudden Death, not horror, but great. Diabolique, shot over in McKees Rocks. Street Corner Justice, shot in oh man, it has Mark Singer in it, and it's about a satanic cult operating in Pittsburgh. And then suddenly he disappears and goes out to LA. And Santa Claus, how can we forget? There's a lot of, you could just go through all the Russo movies. Stigmata, not really shot. Children of the Living Dead, how about that one?
Yeah, definitely. And I just thought of something. I hadn't thought about this in a long, long time. Very obscure. There was a TV series that ran on A&E starring James D'Arcy and Chloe Sevigny called Those Who Kill. It was the remake of a Danish series that didn't last long, but that was shot in Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And the My Bloody Valentine remake shot here.
Katanning.
Yeah. Katanning. And Sorority Row remake shot in Homestead. So, yeah, She's Out of My League. Also shot here. Six Souls, which is kind of sort of genre, but not good. I'm looking forward to seeing what other ones you bring to the table. There's also, I forget all the ones like Mortem and August Underground, and you could show Inspector Gadget, but I don't really know how you would defend that too.
No, I can't. That one is indefensible.
No, but it has PPG in it, right?
It does.
So, but this week we're here to talk about Americathon, also known as Americathon 1998 and 1979, American science fiction comedy directed by Neil Israel. And it's got quite a cast, written by Phil Proctor, Peter Bergman, Neil Israel, Michael Mislov, and Monica Johnson, based on a play. I have never seen this, but Neil Israel, I've seen plenty of his movies. Police Academy, of course, Bachelor Party, and Real Genius. I pretty much based a lot of my young early years on Real Genius and Tunnel Vision, which was a very early Saturday Night Live cast. And in 3 O'Clock High, man, and Moving Violations, man. Okay, so I've seen way too many Neil Israel movies. He definitely was an influence on me. Cracking Up. I also forget that he directed Surf Ninjas, and look, he wrote Look Who's Talking To, so maybe not all these things are good things. Anyways, tell me about Americathon. I'm very excited to hear about it.
We interrupt this theater for a bulletin from 1998, the year America ran out of gas, oil, and cash. Flash, people have stopped driving cars and started living in them. Flash, the president has sold the White House, raffled off the tomb of the unknown soldier, and moved into a rundown condo in Southern California.
Hi, United States of America.
I'm President Roosevelt. This is my cabinet and my old lady.
Flash, the city of San Diego has been bought by Mexico. Flash, the Jews and Arabs have joined forces to form the United Hebraic Republic.
Bad planning is why your country is in the toilet.
The country is flat broke.
I know a way to raise money.
A telethon.
Taking up a collection before America's all gone. If this is a movie, it must be
An Americathon.
Ladies and gentlemen, a spectacular Americathon event. The first mother-son boxing match.
We could sell Cleveland, but nobody's buying. We could trade in all our cars, but nobody's driving.
And now, Meatloaf versus the last living automobile.
You gotta grab them by their TV screen. Look at me, damn it.
Ooh. I'm not a country, I'm not an office, I'm not a decorative seal, I'm a person. I'm a man who wants to make love to you.
Oh, you want to talk?
We got 30 days to save the nation.
Folks, do something. I'm dying.
Call in, make a pledge.
Take it up, the collection before America.
If you call yourself an American, if you care about America, then see Americathon at your local theater before you see it happening in your own front yard. Americathon 1998.
I'm Chet Roosevelt, your president, and I love you.
The freeways are jammed now. Cars have disappeared from the scene. Cause gone to work or to play, they use a whole nother kind of machine.
Well, thanks, Sam. You know, when you asked me to do this, I was so thankful and happy, and you're so gracious for me. But you did steal a movie I wanted to do, which was The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, which is another unloved movie that you already featured on this podcast.
I saw it in the theater.
I did too.
I was probably the only person in the theater that saw it. But I love that movie, and I think if anyone other than Andrew Dice Clay was in it, I think people would have liked it. But I think we were at the end of Dice, if you will.
Yeah, the Dice Man had kind of fallen out of favor and fashion.
Yeah.
But anyway, Americathon was another good choice because very few people even know this movie exists. I've talked to some other film fans, and they're like, what? I've never heard of Americathon. And I said, well, you never heard of it because it's unloved, and it's disappeared into the ether. Nobody talks about it. Nobody likes it. Nobody writes about it. And I think you can get it on the Warner Archive burned DVDs.
Yeah.
But anyway, Americathon was written originally as a play by Phil Proctor and Peter Bergman, who were part of the comedy troupe, the Firesign Theater. Mm-hmm. And the Firesign Theater was very popular in the 70s. They're hilarious. And I would say if I were going to pick a good film by Proctor and Bergman, it would be J-Men Forever, a movie that I absolutely love.
I know that's a favorite. I've heard you bring it up.
Have you seen it?
I did, yeah, when you told me about it. So I have watched it. And it fits into, it feels very much like a Night Flight movie.
Which it was. That's where it ran originally. Yeah. It had a theatrical release. But anyway, they wrote this apparently as a stage play. But I couldn't find in my research any evidence that it was produced on stage anywhere. So after Neil Israel had success in 1976 with Tunnel Vision, which, as you mentioned, was one of the first sketch comedy movies. Groove Tube would have been the first one back in, I think, 1973. Big hit. And then in 76, Israel put together Tunnel Vision, has Chevy Chase in it for a little bit, Lorraine Newman, Betsy Thomas from Hill Street Blues, a lot of recognizable people. And those movies, I think, are very funny, but unfortunately here in 2025, looking back, they're kind of dated.
Yeah, but I always think about that. I don't think Kentucky Fried Movie is dated.
That's the best of them in my opinion.
But that's the best. That and Amazon Women are probably the two best.
Yes, by far.
And they move a lot faster. Some of the other ones seem to stay on the jokes. Also, not to skip over, but I had a big Lorraine Newman crush as a kid. I can never figure
it out. Newman?
Yeah. Because she's a horror fan, right? Like
me too. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting that with the new Saturday night or the current Saturday Night Live cast, the big horror fan is Sarah Sherman.
Yeah, she's my favorite.
Yeah, mine too. She has a poster of Suspiria in her dressing room, I understand.
Yeah, I've seen some of her dressing room tours in there. I love it.
She's awesome. But anyway, so television was a big hit for Shapiro, who was the creator of Night Flight. So Neil Israel hooked up with Procter and Bergman to do Tunnel Vision, which was also going to be kind of a pseudo-sketch comedy. But it's interesting because here is the plot of this film. And I have to say, this is a movie where if you heard the sort of elevator pitch, you would go, yeah, that's a really good idea. Okay, so we're in 1998, the near future. The United States ran out of oil, and the United States is broke. Most people are living in their cars, and people are very creative. They're stacking cars, putting two cars next to each other with canopies to try to make like a condo car. And they're jogging, rollerblading, bicycling to work because there's no oil. The president of the United States is one Chet Roosevelt, played by John Ritter. And he had to sell the White House because the country's broke. So he's speaking to the nation from a condo out in California. And he was a former sort of transcendental meditation, Dr. Feelgood kind of, I love you, you love me kind of person, guru, a reality kind of person who got elected president. So I'm foreshadowing here where the movie predicted the future pretty well. Well, anyway, the country's broke. They've had many failed attempts to make money to save the country by national lotteries and things like that, and it hasn't worked. And the president has borrowed tons of money from this Indian chief, or shall I say Native American chief, played by Chief Dan George. And he's a multi-millionaire because he's the head of the corporation called, let's see if I can get this right. It's National Indian Knitting Enterprises Incorporated, which spells Nike, which means everybody in this civilization in 1998 wears track suits made by Nike. And if you get married and have to wear a tuxedo, you've got a tuxedo that looks like a tracksuit. It's the style. And
I mean, go to Walmart now. That's how are people dressed. It's very simple. It's sweatsuits. Very simple.
Yeah, so that's kind of like number two, that people wear lots of comfortable tracksuits all the time. But he's going to collect on this debt in a couple of days. And one of the funny lines in the movie that at least I think is funny, that Chief Dan George repeats all the time is, I gotta eat too. Does that make me a bad guy? So the president and his advisors, his chief advisor played by comedian Fred Willard, have to come up with a plan. And they come up with a plan that we're going to hold a national telethon to raise money to pay off the United States' debt. Now, for our younger listeners, the Jerry Lewis telethon ran for, I don't know, Sam, how many years did that sucker run?
The best time to watch it was at like 3:30 in the morning when he would be screaming at the band and just.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, the best.
It was the best because Jerry Lewis hosted it, and it was 24 hours, and they had local cut-ins with like Bill Cardille from Pittsburgh, Chili Billy.
That's why I watched it for Chili Billy coming out.
Yep, he hosted the local cut-ins, but I agree with you. 3:30 in the morning, you would get Jerry Lewis with a cigarette and a glass in his hand, drinking alcohol, hair greased back. He hasn't slept. He looks like hell. And he's going crazy, losing his mind, yelling stuff. Well, my favorite the one year, and I can't really do it justice, but he said very poignantly, now, before you go to bed tonight, and you take the stuff out of your pockets, and there's that matchbook from Rachel's whorehouse, you take that extra change and you send it to my kids, damn it. Because if you don't like me, you don't like my kids. And he went completely.
I like the year that Frank, because I use a first name basis because I'm Italian, but Frank brought Dean on and he made him. He's like, no one can see this because it's an audio podcast. He brings his hands together. He's like, now you two talk. And like Dean seems affable and fine with it.
Sure.
And Jerry's like, I don't know. He should have brought Sammy Petrillo on with him to see what would happen. But there's a deep. You know what? This is a show for 35 people, so you know.
But anyway, so they decide they're going to do this telethon. Now they got to find a host, and they come up with Harvey Korman, who is this washed-up failure of an actor who's reduced to doing a sitcom called Both Mother and Father, where he plays a single dad who also plays the mother in drag. So it's like, wow.
That's a little ahead of its time, right?
It's not only way ahead of its time on the, sexual politics and gender politics, it's Mrs. Doubtfire. So he's a disaster, and they start putting the acts together. And that's why I said this movie kind of looks like Tunnel Vision and Groove Tube and Amazon Woman on the Moon, because the acts are the little sketches.
Yeah.
So we have the wraparound story. And, oh, by the way, one of the other parts of the wraparound story, the backstory, is other things that have happened in 1998 version of America. The United Kingdom is the 57th state. They call it, I believe, Limey Land.
Oh, wow.
And the war in the Middle East is over. So the Arabs and the Israelis have formed a country called the Arab Republic. So the Arab Republic guys want to see the telethon fail so that they can take over the United States. So that's one of the stories that's bubbling underneath the telethon that starts that Harvey Korman is hosting. And of course, the telethon is a disaster, but you'll get to see some things like fighting with your family, which is a very young and still relatively unknown comedian named Jay Leno, getting the shit kicked out of him by an old lady playing his mother.
Do you think he took his name from Larry Miller, the comedian? Like, because this is when they were probably both in clubs. His character's name's Larry Poopy Pants Miller in this movie.
Yeah, oh, definitely. There's no doubt that that's an inside joke, and that's one of the lesser funny bits in the movie. And then there's a bit where Meatloaf does combat in an arena with the last working gasoline automobile. So he comes out like a gladiator, and he's got like a pickaxe and all that. You know, the car's chasing him around. And then Zane Busby is playing a Vietnamese puke rock singer, not punk rock, puke rock. And of course, Chet Roosevelt's going to have an affair with her. Oh, by the way, Chet's girlfriend is played by John Ritter's wife, Nancy Morgan, in the movie. And they have some musical guests. Elvis Costello, of all people, stops by to do about 30 seconds of a song. And one of the better features of the movie is there is a commentary at the beginning and as it goes on, because our hero is played by a young guy who's also involved in the politics, Peter Riegert from National Lampoon's Animal House. And he looks dazed. All the reviews you'll read about this movie say Riegert looks like he doesn't even understand why he's in this movie, or he's ashamed that he's in the movie. But as an old man who's narrating what you're seeing, the voice of Riegert is played by George Carlin. And the droll, wry, funny, sardonic narration is some of the best stuff in this movie. Let's see who else we have. We have also in this movie Alan Arbus, David Opatoshu, another actor that everybody knows. At least you'll know his face if you don't recognize his name. Los Angeles Dodgers manager Tommy Lasorda.
Oh.
Howard Hessman. And Dorothy Stratton appears uncredited.
Her first role.
Yeah. Now, Sam,
Sybil Shepherd too.
Sybil Shepherd. Now, Sam, I'm going to break your heart here because you know who was in the movie, but they cut his scene out. John Carradine playing Uncle Sam.
What are they thinking?
I don't know what the hell they were thinking. So John Carradine was in it and cut out.
Is this before Sybil Shepherd got her own fuzz lens? Like when she was on Moonlighting, it was like Vaseline lens. And you get the Del Rubio triplets too. I mean, that's
Rubio triplets, right? There's so many people in this movie, man. Alan Arbus, I'm sure we're missing some folks. But, okay, when you have this, you would think to yourself, my God, you've got Firesign Theater, the director of Tunnel Vision, John Ritter, very funny comedian. I mean, he was great on Three's Company. Maybe not the greatest show in the world. Didn't really age well, but poor John Ritter was great. This fantastic cast, all these people. The music, the soundtrack album is quite good, too, because on the soundtrack, you have Elvis Costello, and I'm trying to think who else is on there. Lots of good music. Oh, Beach Boys and Eddie Money. There we go. So you got a good soundtrack. You would think, wow, this is got to be a hit, right? Well, this movie came out. It was released by United Artists in summer of 1979, and it died an instant and ugly death. And in fact, whoever was the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette critic at the time, it wasn't Ed Blank from the Pittsburgh Press, and you and I have the same relationship with Ed Blank, which is he didn't know shit about anything when it came to reviewing movies. But anyway, the guy in the Post-Gazette was one of the few critics I recall in the country at the time that actually liked it and said it was really funny, and he agreed with me on it. Everybody else hated it. Roger Ebert, half star. Gene Siskel, star and a half. Roger Ebert called it, quote, a puerile exploitation of one very thin joke during 98 very long minutes, end quote.
He also said it was one of the low points of his entire movie-going career.
Yes, one of the absolute points. And it was absolutely hated. And in the reviews at the time, a lot of the people commented that, first off, that it wasn't funny. Second off, that it was very poorly filmed. And you know what? The first one I can debate, and that's why I'm here to defend this movie. The second half, it's kind of a ramshackle affair. It's like, but you know, you got to think about it, Sam. Most comedies with I will give an exception here, a movie that you and I both like, aren't particularly well filmed. Because they don't have to be. They're comedies. They expect audiences to enjoy the humor and the jokes. It doesn't have to look like it was filmed with Roger Deakins as the cinematographer.
It's just,
as long as it's serviceable and watchable, it's in focus. Doesn't matter that the lighting's not all that great. But the one comedy I would say that really looks good is, of course, Real Genius. Mm-hmm. Because the DP on that was Vilmos Zsigmond, I believe. I think I could be wrong. It was a big cinematographer. So a lot of the critics got down on that, and the movie did not.
Maybe that's why he hired him for Real Genius. He was, Martha Coolidge directed it, so maybe it was her call. My friend Robert, who works in the film industry in Toronto and has done films, he was the graphic designer for a couple of Martha Coolidge movies, and he loves her. He thinks she's really cool. She did The Prince and Me. He worked with her on. He really thinks she's great. So I'm sure she picked Zsigmond. But anyway, again, I'll give it that. It's not the greatest looking in the movie in the world, and I had thought that it was like a complete and total disaster. But again, looking online, I see that it made a little over $6 million on a budget of 2.2, which that means it's a hit. It's a small hit. They didn't advertise it, so it wasn't like they want that trick. They were always like, well, we spent too much on advertising at Prince.
No, and it was made with some German tax shelter money, and I don't know how these deals are financed. I mean, they tried to market. One of the guys in the movie roller skated across the United States.
Ted Combs, I just got that. He owns the Guinness Book of World Records for that of 5,000 miles. He's now a forensic scientist. The other fact that I had for this that I brought to you is this is Zelda Rubinstein's first movie.
This house is clean from Poltergeist, the old medium.
Yeah,
right?
It's funny, though, because I think if they had waited a year to release it, and I'm shocked they probably did this for the VHS release. John Ritter became a much bigger star after this was out. Like, this came out, like, right at the start, maybe, of Three's Company. By, the end of 77, he was a much bigger deal than he was later.
Absolutely. And the thing about this movie is it was so prescient, and collected some of the stuff I've seen online about how it predicted the future that we're living in now, back in 1979. So much of this stuff, not just the track suits and all the craziness there. I mean, the movie says that China became pro-capitalism. And I mentioned that Nike is obviously a big corporation. The Soviet Union collapsed. Reality shows are big because Chet Roosevelt's kind of like a reality show president in a way. The gender politics stuff was mentioned. And Chet was a governor of California who became president. This was a Ronald Reagan era. Yeah. So that was prescient too. And people looking for affordable housing. Some people are living in their vans and their cars and being nomads.
We're in what van life or whatever they call that online.
The movie, again, is an acquired taste for a lot of people. And comedies are generally. You either find a movie funny or you don't. I find this movie actually very funny in spots because it's very clever and sly and droll. But I could understand how in 1979, when you're making jokes about Nike and the Hebrab Republic and tracksuit.
I like that North Dakota is the first gay state.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And then they show South Dakota.
I think that's why the humor didn't play very well back when it came down in 1979. But I think if people watched it today, they'd get a kick out of it. I think you will, Sam.
I'll watch it. When you do watch, especially Kentucky Fried Movie has a lot of stuff in there where wow, like I can't believe that they did this in the movie. The Daredevil scene especially. And like looking through this, there's a lot of stuff where if this played in a theater today, people would
riot.
Be on fire. Yeah. And I think it's funny that there's a late 70s, early 80s, a preponderance of movies with like America in the title, like America 3000 is another one, like where this will be the future. And I always thought that like Idiocracy was like very close to those kind of movies too. It
is.
Yeah. Except like it has a narrative and it feels like, but it seems like it touches on a lot of the same stuff as
it does. It does. How America's gone to hell in the future. The good thing though about Americathon with its structure of the telethon is that okay. If a bit like fighting with your family, Jay Leno and his mom, that's not particularly funny.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't laugh. That's only on for a couple of minutes. Something else will come up and you will laugh. So it's not one of those movies where if the narrative fails you, you're going to really struggle to get through the movie and be bored or hate it. This is one where, okay, I hate that sketch. Oh, here comes one. Oh, Meatloaf's coming home. He's going to fight this car. That's pretty funny. I like that. George Carlin's going to say something funny. It's great.
Is this the best Jay Leno movie, or is Collision Course with Pat Morita better?
This is much better than Collision Course.
This is much better than Collision Course. Or
actually, there's a third one, my friend. You know which one that is?
The one where they're old Boy Scouts and they get back together with Richard Lewis?
The wrong guy. No, the one I was thinking of, he was the voice of the parody redub, The Hideous Sun Demon.
Oh, that's right. Am I going to have to do a whole week of Jay Leno movies?
Well, I'm doing that. I said that only because I'm giving a plug, because I wrote an article for Bill Van Rin's Driving a Silent fanzine called it deals with what I call the parody redub of movies and TV shows. Okay. And that would have started with Fractured Flickers from Jay Ward, the creator of Bullwinkle, back in 1964, and Woody Allen, What's Up, Tiger Lily, all the way through Kung Pao, Enter the Fist, where you take existing footage and you re-edit. So look for that. It was a lot of fun. I think somebody called it a comedy redub. I don't think I can take credit for parody redub, but it's hard to know what to call those movies. But Jay Leno's the voice of the Hideous Sun Demon in that movie.
Oh my gosh. It's funny because a lot of Jay Leno's roles, as I look through his IMDb, is playing Jay Leno, and it doesn't say himself. So it's almost like Jay Leno as a character. One of the few non-Jay Leno playing himself movies I can find, I forgot all about it, American Hot Wax.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, he's in that. And I like that he's like, there's nothing else I need to be in. I've done it.
But anyway, that's Americathon and my defense of it. I suggest go out and see it. If you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, well, you can let me know too. But hey, I got you to watch it, right?
Where can people find you online?
Oh my goodness. Actually, two places. I'm kind of a Luddite when it comes to social media. AC Nicholas on Facebook, where I have my collected writings and appearances and goofy videos and things, and also a new YouTube channel. And on the new YouTube channel, I'm basically collecting, as you know, Sam, you and Bill did some wonderful video segments for me for the movie series that I host. They're all there. And I also have the playlist of the 10 Pittsburgh horror movies that I featured in my little discussion. So you will get.
I'll share it in the show notes. So
thank you. You will get to see not a real theatrical trailer for Blood-Sucking Pharaohs in Pittsburgh, because it didn't get released theatrically, but you'll see the video trailer for it. And again, you can draw your own conclusions. I think it's kind of cute.
I think it's because I hate Lawrenceville. I think that's what it is.
When
I look at Lawrenceville, I'm like, oh, fucking and when I see the Doughboy there, I'm like, oh, I don't like it. And I think that's what it is.
Well, our drive-in asylum friend, Mike Justice from Portland, Oregon, has entertained thoughts about moving to Pittsburgh over the years. Yeah. And he asked us, I don't want to go anywhere and live anywhere in Pittsburgh where there are hipsters. And Bill Van Rin responded, well, that's easy. Just stay away from Lawrenceville.
Stay away from Shadyside and Lawrenceville, and that's about it. You're right. Fine. Everywhere else, you're 20 years in the past. Moved to Monongahela, you're like 40. Well,
what about Grove City?
You're 100,000 years in the past. Though you do have an elephant and castle, and I don't know what else is in Grove City.
Yeah,
just the mall. The mall. That's it, and the Sheets.
The Sheets, right. But so, and summary of Americathon: lost comedy, forgotten, deserving of rediscovery. I hope you enjoy it.
All right, thanks for being on the show. We hit exactly at time because the